Don't try to sneak into your room like that. I know what you've got behind your back. Records. More new records.
Hi there. Before I pack up and ship back the Origin Live Sovereign S turntable and Agile Tonearm to Origin Live in the UK, I thought I would show it to you in this video before the review is published in the Absolute Sound. I'm not going to review it for you here. I'm just going to show you what the turntable is all about so that when you do read the review, which I hope you do, you'll have a better appreciation of exactly what's involved in this turntable. So the Sovereign S turntable sells for £9,150 sterling, and the Agile Arm sells for £11,500 sterling. So the combination is about £20,000 sterling, which in dollars these days is probably $25,000. The price will fluctuate depending upon the market conditions. Anyway, let's have a look at the Sovereign S turntable and the Agile Tonearm from Origin Live, okay? So you'll have to ignore all the stuff on the floor. There's a lot of moving around here all the time, and it's just kind of looks kind of messy, and that's what it is. But that's when you're busy, that's what happens. So here's the platter, and I want to show you something about the bearing on this platter. I'm going to spin it. I have the belt disconnected, and I want you to see how long it spins. It will just keep spinning. So it's an oil-based bearing, which means that the bearing itself rides on a film of oil. And it goes for a very long time. Try that on your, remove the belt from your turntable and see how long it spins. This thing just keeps on spinning. So most turntables today, or many turntables today, use an inverted bearing with a ceramic ball on top. Maybe yours does. So an inverted bearing means there's a stalk sticking up that's attached to the plinth of your turntable, and at the top of it is a ball. And then you put the platter down on it, and what that does is engages the ball on the thrust pad, which is at the top, not at the bottom. And so the action, the thrust pad and the ball, is spinning the platter very close to the surface of the platter where the record is being played. So that's the major source of noise in a turntable is going to be right there close to the record surface. Whereas in a situation like this, where the bearing is in the opposite, where the thrust pad is at the bottom, the noise is down at the bottom. So the advantage of having the thrust pad at the top is most of the weight from the platter is now below the center of gravity. That's an advantage. Disadvantage, of course, is that you have the excess energy and the sound of the ball and the bearing right by where the record is played. Now, normally you won't hear it as noise, but it's noise that's there. And when you hear a turntable like this, which is extremely quiet, you'll hear the difference. All right? And of course, this thing just keeps spinning forever. It's finally slowing down. Now, the advantage of that, of course, is that there's no friction. The disadvantage of that is that the platter, because it's got no friction, can actually run away with the motor. It'll just go faster than the motor wants it to turn. So that's why Origin Live makes very, very specific demands upon you as far as the distance from the platter to the pulley. It's got to be the exact distance, and their belt is not extremely flexible. It's not like a standard rubber belt. It's a fairly stiff belt. So when you get that set exactly correctly, you get the benefit of low friction in the bearing and a good connection between the platter and the pulley so that it doesn't run away with the speed. All right. Now, the other thing about this table, this is a very heavy plinth. It's a sandwich plinth. It's very hefty. I don't know the exact weight, but it must weigh close to 20 pounds at least. And it sits on 3 feet that are adjustable. And this is an acrylic platter, you can see. And then there's a layer of, I believe it's copper right there. And then there's a foam type or some sort of foam type layer there. And then there's a surface on top that is damped and probably has a similar impedance to a vinyl record. And that way the energy that's generated at the record will drain into this material and keep things very, very quiet. That is the standard how this works. Now I'm going to take the platter out, show you. It's very stiff, as you can see. And this is the bearing. It's got oil there. It gets kind of messy, but it's a very fine film that the I'm having trouble even getting it out, that it rides on. You don't see that, and it's not a problem, even though it looks kind of sloppy there. And there's the bottom of the platter, and there's the motor. Now, here's the most interesting part about this design. So, I'm sure you know about a unipivot tone arm. The advantage of a unipivot tone arm is that there's only one point that mechanically grounds the arm. There aren't multiple points. So it gives a single drain for energy to leave the system. In this turntable, this part here, this is the arm base, and this is the bearing, and this is all part of one piece. And there's an opening so that the bearing is actually floating. It's not connected to this chassis. It's open underneath there. So the bearing is floating, the arm board is floating, and there's a single point right in here where this entire mechanism is attached to the plinth. So it's like a unipivot device that connects the arm base and the bearing to the plinth at one point. And that's pretty unique. And that, in great part, accounts for the absolute, well, I'm not going to review this turntable. I'm not going to tell you what goes on with this turntable. I'm simply going to say it's a one-point connection. Okay, that's the basis of this turntable. This is a DC motor, and it goes on like that, and 33 and 45, and you can adjust the speed. There are pots there, you can adjust the speed. Now, the arm. The arm is a dual pivot, not a unipivot. There are two pivots, right here, one pivot here, one pivot here. And to set azimuth, you adjust the depth of that pivot relative to that pivot, and you can adjust the azimuth. This is a very heavy chromed weight, and that gives it extra downforce to stabilize the bearing. You can adjust VTA SRA here. This whole thing moves up and down. And then the counterweight system is back here, which you'll have to read about to see why there's actually an offset counterweight here. So that's the simplified version of the Agile Tonearm, which you'll have to read about in the review. And that's a simplified look at this very unique Origin Live Sovereign S turntable with a one-point attached arm board and spindle bearing. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed that walkthrough.